This is Viktor. Viktor is a member of the guild archetype, where they want to hide a bunch of cards under their deck, but actually Viktor is a little bit of an anomaly within the guild. He fits, but he also doesn't in a way, and we'll see that in his kit in a few different places. And he's actually more of the brave class archetype, identity, I guess. And we'll go over what that means in just a second, but we're going to go over Viktor's backstory today, his lore, and then we're going to go over his kit and see how he works with everybody else. So let's get into it. So Viktor grew up without knowing who his family was. He never knew what love was. He grew up making a living while fighting in underground pit fights. Viktor is a wild dog. That's his species that we've given him. So because he was wild, because he has this tough demeanor, nobody really ever tried to care for him. One, because he really wouldn't let most, if anybody, past his tough demeanor. And he had this really impoverished background where he was really just fighting for scraps to survive in the city. So that would be the capital city, where the guild does most of their, I guess, has their headquarters. So at this point, we can only assume in Viktor's story that his family had abandoned him in some way, shape, or form. Whatever that was, we don't know exactly what happened. Viktor at least doesn't. He survived on his own most of his life. He grew up on the streets, and when he lived and tried to survive in the slums, he had to be aggressive. He had to make sure that nobody would mess with him, and he just grew up being like that. Viktor is a street rat. He is quite literally the definition of a street rat, or like a pit dog, a pit fighter dog, but he is a street rat. If we boil him down to one label, that's who Viktor is. Eventually, when he was very young, we're talking 8-ish years old, let's say, he was found by the guild, specifically the Beagle. And the Beagle at this time in Viktor's life was the leader of the guild, and so that's what we call him right now, is the Beagle. He brought him under his wing, and this was at the same time that they had also adopted another child, a fox, and that was Vincent. And Vincent is a part of the good guys archetype, so he's not in the guild, but these two, Viktor and Vincent, grew up together. They grew up just as brothers, getting past Viktor's tough demeanor when they started to train together. They did all the same trainings. They hung out all the time. They were brothers. They were quite literally brothers growing up, or as close as you could be without the blood relationship. Viktor excelled at boxing and found that this was a really great outlet for his aggression that he had built up or pent up or kept inside of him for as long as he could. And he was come to known as Bloodpaw. All of the guild members have their own like superhero name or moniker or title or whatever it is, and Viktor's is Bloodpaw because he always got the blood of his enemies that would cover his paws. While Vincent was more nimble, and he excelled more in moving quick and having rapid strikes rather than pure power. But eventually, Vincent left the guild, and he left when Reginald took over. Reginald is the current leader of the guild. When the Beagle passed away, hold on, let me grab him real quick. When the Beagle passed away, somebody had to take over the guild, and the Beagle left it to Reginald. Reginald is now the current guild leader and has a very different way of running things. And because of this, Vincent decided to leave the guild because he didn't agree with what Reginald was doing, didn't agree with the way the guild was going, didn't agree in the way that it basically changed his family style. And so Vincent left to do his own thing. So with the passing of the Beagle, who was like a father to Viktor, and Vincent, who had decided to leave of his own accord, who was like his brother, Viktor then once again harbored all this anger again. It grew and manifested in him with spite and anger. And through this anger and this sadness, he now holds this deep grudge and scar that now kind of almost manifests itself like it had when he was younger. He goes around fighting in underground pit fights again, even though he still works for the guild as kind of the muscle. He kind of reverted back to his old ways when his quote-unquote family had changed, but he still sees some sort of camaraderie with the guild and with Reginald, but so he still is a core member for them, but he fights and is quite different from the entire guild style, although he's meant to fit with them. So that is Viktor's story. That's where he's at in his life. I think it's something we could flesh out a little bit more with some of the early days and some past memories and such, but I think right now that's yes, I think that's where we want him for now. So let's get into his kit. Let's start with his hero ability. Viktor is a brave hero, so he's got 2 attack and 5 hand size, and his ability is after you reveal a life card, and we can think of that as a stamina card now. This is just an old naming conventions. After you reveal a stamina card, Viktor gets +1 attack and +1 armor until the end of the turn, and you may ready him. Then, once per turn, as an action, you can hide 1 card, which means place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Then reveal 1 life card and draw 2 cards. So what does this mean? Well, Viktor wants to take his own life, and not in that way, but he wants to reveal stamina cards, which essentially reveals it and then puts it in your hand, at least with the current rule set. So he is constantly kind of like beating himself up in a way, like he gets stronger and gets an oomph when he's put on the back foot, and that's a very brave thing. That's very a Viktor thing. It's kind of like a comeback mechanic almost. Like he's down and he's going down, but he's still going. So his ability is quite strong in that whenever you reveal a life card, or a stamina card, excuse me, he gets stronger for that turn. And realistically, this works both on enemy turns and your turn. So it works with his ability because he gets another attack power, a basic attack value, and you can ready him. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to swing into some sort of like a smaller enhancement or something or other, and then you can activate your ability, ready him, and then get a bigger attack, and then swing again into like a hero or something. So he's very aggressive, especially for a brave character. And his ability to reveal a life on your turn really, and draw cards because of it, is very, very, very strong. So we'll see how that factors into the rest of his kit. Next we have Brass Knuckles. So Brass Knuckles is his armory weapon in this case. It gives him +1 attack when equipped, and then when equipped character makes a basic attack, exhaust this. If you have less remaining life, so that's stamina, remember, than your opponent, defense cards cannot be played during this attack. So right now what that means is when you reveal lives, you reveal staminas, oh my goodness. When you reveal stamina, you have ideally less than your opponent, which allows you to attack again, and then immediately allows it so defense cards can't be played, meaning like this attack has a really good shot at hitting. So his Brass Knuckles and him really want to stick it to them, especially when he's behind. So really, really, really solid weapon. Okay, so his defense card is a 0 cost, lean into it. Prevent 2 damage, and then place the bottom 2 cards of your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this card is a little awkward. I think placing cards from your discard pile is a little bizarre, but essentially this is meant to be kind of like refill your energy kind of thing, refill your options, and work with the guilds. You essentially means hide the bottom 2 cards of your discard pile, but it's such a bizarre way to say it that I think that we could probably do something with this and make it feel a little bit less awkward and kind of random, when it really could just be like the top cards of your discard pile or something like that. But essentially we wanted to hide cards from your discard pile. And I think this prevent 2 damage, I think is quite strong. So we'll have to keep an eye on this card in that its effect is a little awkward, and the preventing damage is quite strong for 0. So, although it's okay to have a strong defense card in the Brave card set, because that's part of what they do. Next we have a skill, and this is a very, very Brave-esque card, and I think it really works with Viktor's identity as well. So 2 cost bandage up, and it has a cost modifier, and this is a skill. So cost modifier says hide each card discarded while paying for this card. So when you pay 2, you put them on the bottom of your deck, so you get to control that. Then look at one of your face down stamina cards, ready your hero, draw 1 card. So this allows you to try and plan for your next whatever you're going to start revealing life cards, or stamina cards, excuse me, that you can check that. But realistically, knowing the top of your or knowing a stamina card doesn't really do much. It's thematically kind of cool, so you know that way, but maybe it should be like reorder them in some way. I think that it's quite weak as is that first part, but the ready your hero and draw 1 card are very strong. And in fact, I would say that if you just remove the look at your stamina cards, and just kept the ready and draw and then this effect, you could probably get something kind of cool out of it. So maybe that's what it'll end up doing. But the idea is that you're preparing for the worst. You're bandaging up, you're kind of like re-gearing, you gotta draw cards, and this draw card is actually quite relevant because with that you can hide it for Viktor's ability to then ready him, and you already get to prepare him for this. So you could swing, prepare him, draw a card after you play this to then activate his ability to prepare him again. And so there's a lot of really cool things you can do in his kit to prepare him, or in another kit. So a lot of synergy we're seeing already with his ability and some of his cards. Combination is a 2-cost attack that says your opponent chooses 1, deal 3 damage, then deal 3 damage, or deal 6 damage. So the guild has these choice effects. This is kind of like their thing, is like, hey, we were hired to beat you up or take something from you, but if you want to pay us off with something else, go for it. So the point is, the guild is putting you between a rock and a hard place, and depending on the situation, one option is usually worse than the other. So this is just his premier attack, and for those of you who kept up on the channel and are aware of kind of all the other characters, this is actually the exact same card that Vincent has. So Vincent has this exact same card with the experienced class, and that's really the only difference. So that's just kind of a little nod that they grew up doing the same things, and they're brothers. They grew up with the same training. They should have some overlap in what they do. So yeah, I really like that little detail about it. Next, we have a 4-cost enhancement Bloodpaw, and this might be the most expensive card in the game that I've shown, I think, so far. And I think there's one other card that might cost 4, but this is very expensive, so this should be game-changingly good. Okay, as an action, exhaust this. If the next, so what happens? An enhancement, you put it into play, it stays in play, right? Then, as an action on your turn, you can exhaust it to say, if the next basic attack you make defeats a non-hero card, heal 1. Consume this card. So what happens? You put this into play, and then on one turn, when you're ready to start swinging, you can exhaust it, activate the effect, and say, if the next basic attack defeats something, I get to heal. Then consume this card. So this card gets removed from the game. Then, if you've ideally somehow increase his attack, maybe have his brass knuckles, you can hit once, and then maybe activate that effect, and then hit again for 1, 2, maybe 3 for the ability, 4 for the brass knuckles, and maybe on this one you activate the brass knuckles because you have less stamina than your opponent, and you swing at one of your opponent's enhancements. Then you can defeat that enhancement, and then you get to heal 1, which means take the top card of your deck and place it on into your stamina face down. So you essentially gain a stamina card from Bloodpaw. So I find healing to be a premium. I think that it should be a premium. Healing should not be something that you kind of can just do willy-nilly. Because the defensive options in this game right now are incredibly powerful, healing should be a big premium. And this is a lot of hoops to jump through. This is your entire hand, and then you have to hit. So you have to do a lot of things right to get this. So this card might need a little bit of a buff. I found that it's really hard to find a reason to play this, especially because you're not winning with this. You're just like breaking down the opponent by defeating a non-hero card and then healing. So you're really not progressing to win. You're progressing to be defensive. That's the nature of a Brave class, but I think that there might be a better way to do this effect, especially because doing it as an enhancement feels kind of bizarre. But maybe that's a rebalancing that needs to be done at some point. So yeah, that's Bloodpaw. And finally, we have an enhancement, a neutral enhancement called Call That a Hit. This is a neutral card, so remember, anybody can run neutral cards, but it's meant to run in his kit. And it says, after you reveal a life or a stamina card, place the bottom card of your discard pile into your tenacity. So here's that bottom card of the discard pile again. Clearly it was trying to be, or right here, sorry. Clearly it was trying to be something, and I don't really enjoy it. It's weird, it's bizarre, it's awkward. You have to like grab the bottom and then put it back and do something with it. It just doesn't seem right. But essentially this says when you reveal something, you get more defensive or more offensive power, because this allows you to actually put cards into your tenacity that maybe have a cost on your opponent's turn, rather than defense cards, which are usually pretty weak in your tenacity. So you get one of these out early, you can like on one turn you could go, all right, I'm gonna play call that a hit. Then I'm going to equip my brass knuckles because this costs 3 cards out of my hand to discard it, and then 1 to play it. So I've got 1 card left with my 5 hand size. I can then consume that card to play the brass knuckles from my armory. And now I've got a 3 attack Viktor, which allows me to swing for 3. I have to hide a card to be able to do anything, so on this turn I can only swing for 3, or instead of doing the brass knuckles, I could play call that a hit, swing with Viktor at something, then activate Viktor's ability, which says hide a card, reveal a life, and then be able to maybe put that card into my hand, and then use that consume to play the brass knuckles, swing for 3/4, and I've already activated this because I've revealed a life. I've got +1 attack from my ability. I've drawn 2 cards from my ability. There's so many things that you can do with Viktor and his cards. It's insane. I think that doing something with lean into it, bandage up, and potentially like call that a hit or something, I think that these, instead of doing the bottom card of your discard pile, just have to do something with the bottom card of your deck, and I think he'll fit into the guild right away. So I hope I didn't talk too fast. I just really like Viktor, and I really like his kit. I think it's a very, very, very fun kit, and it works super well. And we'll see it works really well with like Reginald later on. So yes, thank you so much for watching. That's Viktor. That's our street rat, wild dog, pit fighter. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any ideas for his kit or thought of something cool to name a card, please let me know. All of this, remember, is just for playtesting. The art is just AI generated whatever. The templates are also whatever, and the names are also not perfect yet. I do like Blood Pop for this one, but yes. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, night, morning, weekends, work day, vacation day, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world. And I hope to see you in the next video. So, see ya.